Hey everybody, thanks again for watching. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about something kind of personal, and I kind of debated whether or not I wanted to do a video that was so personal, because for me, things like this I keep to myself. I don't really talk about them to friends even. But what it's about my fiance, Andrew Strong, and his wonderful son, Aiden. And I get a lot of questions about, like, how do you do that? Was it easy? How did you decide? Or was it confusing? And a lot of times I get, well, I couldn't date somebody with a kid. And obviously I wasn't like, oh, you have a kid? Heck yes, like, let's carry on. You know, it's for some reason when you know that somebody has a child, it makes you like analyze your relationship a little bit more. So it's more like, okay, well, where did I see this going to begin with, and where do I see it going now, and does this new information change anything at all? So obviously I have quick notes because I don't want to forget anything. So like I said, when I found out, I wasn't like, yay, like all the same, you know, because for us especially it was a little bit different because we met through our military training. And so we were away from home, and we lived 2,000 miles apart. So we lived far. So there was the fact that at first I didn't even know, you know, that we were going to continue this relationship once we each went home. And
she was hoping we would.
I didn't know. I wasn't even thinking about it.
I like to think. Hoping we would.
But then it was like, okay, well, now I know he has a son. If I want this to go any further, well, he can't move to where I live for me, and I'm not going to move for somebody I've known for 3 months, you know? No offense, but so that, for us, it was different like that because we did know that at one point we weren't going to be seeing each other, and we had to decide whether or not we want to carry on this relationship. Once we did go home, we actually did break up, unfortunately, but it was just a mixture of things. It was the long distance, and it was, you know, for him it was the first time he was dating somebody since his son was born, and it wasn't just that he was dating somebody, it's that it was also a long distance relationship. And for me, I've never dated anybody that had a child nor a long distance relationship, so it was a mixture of things for both of us that made us break up. So actually we a year after we broke up, we got back together, and this time it was different for us because I think we both kind of knew, like, we still had feelings for each other when we started talking again, and this time around we were more certain that this is what we wanted because for a year now, you know, and we did start seeing other people within that year, and I know that I would think about him often, you know, and he even, I mean, we talked a little bit, just like, hey, how are you, okay? And I could not talk to him, and I knew that it was different for me because I have no problem, you know, when I break up with somebody, like talking to them as friends, but I couldn't talk to them as a friend because it was sad to me, you know? So.
You were probably the first ex-girlfriend I've ever kind of stalked.
You stalked
online.
me?
I didn't stalk you, but I don't know another word for that.
Creeping? You creeped on me.
For lack of better words, it creeped on you a little bit. I missed you, I did.
Well, I'm going to be honest, I did too. So.
Well, that's to be expected.
So, a lot of people say, like, I can't do this, I don't know how you do it, and what is the hardest thing? I'm going to start off by saying that I don't for a second wish that Aiden wasn't a part of my life or Andrew's life. I really love being a parent figure to somebody and getting to know him and live with him and just see him grow and change and just all these great things, you know. He says, I love you. Like, it's just a really good feeling. And Aiden and I, we get along so great, and I love that little kid. So, when people say, like, you know, obviously the question is, like, how do you deal, like, does his mom, like, you know, whenever you're going to start dating somebody else, you got to take that into consideration, because whether or not you think it's going to affect your relationship, or whether you want it to, or you think you're not going to let it, it definitely will. So you got to kind of know how that person ended their relationship with the other parent of the child, if they ended on good terms, or one of them still thinks that they should be together. So that's definitely something that you need to consider. And another thing that you need to consider is like what kind of interaction you will have with the child, because you're not just kind of, I don't see it when I was dating him, like I'm not just dating him, I'm dating his son. So it's like, you don't want to come into a child's life just to walk right back out, because it's not just going to be confusing for the kid, but you're going to grow attached to him, and you're going to grow feelings for him, and you're going to love him. And so when you're gone, you don't just break up with the parent. I mean, you break up with the kid too, basically, because you're not going to see them anymore. So that's something that I would really advise somebody to think about, because you really do become attached to these kids. And I mean, how could you not? But if I had to give advice, I think that'd be one big thing.
I think what you're trying to say is that, not necessarily trying to say it's like you're dating the son too, but it is itself a whole other relationship.
Yes.
It's two relationships.
Yep.
It's not just one.
Yep.
So it's two people.
Yes.
Instead of one.
Yes. And it's double the heartbreak. So yeah, that's kind of like my take on it. I get a lot of questions about it and a lot of comments. And even when I had my website, I'd get a lot of messages on there, like anonymous messages, but I don't think I ever really answered those, because, like I said, I'm a pretty private person. So with my relationship and stuff like that, I don't like to share it. I mean, for a while I didn't even tell anybody that I moved. So so I had a couple questions that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
That's his whistle.
Yeah.
The best day of your life when we met.
The best day of my life when we met. Certainly didn't start out as the best day of my life. As she said, we were in Fort Lee, Virginia during AIT, which is the training you go to after basic training. And our whole platoon had to go to the PX. We all had to buy little things here and there, things for our uniform, just a bunch of things that everyone needed. One of my good buddies, who's a lot like myself, I was like, man, we're really about to stand here in this line. It just good, but it seemed like a mile-long line. Surely not that long, but I know I wasn't standing in the back of it. And he was like, no, absolutely not. So we started sneaking our way up to the front, and I really didn't pay attention to who I actually cut in front of, but I just slid on in line somewhere. I found a little gap, towards the register. And sure enough, there was this beautiful little woman behind me asking me what I thought I was doing, and tried my best to convince her I'd been there the whole time, but she didn't believe me.
Is he worried?
However, I did end up staying in my spot, so I guess my charm did a little good or something, but yeah, that's how we met. I cut in front of her in line.
And I said, what do you think you're doing?
So what are you talking
And
about?
he said, yeah, that's what he said. What are you talking about? But anyway, so before we met, what were your thoughts or feelings about dating after Aiden was born, or had you thought about it at all?
Yeah, I thought about it, and I was honestly, at first I was like, I'm not worried about dating. I'm just focused on my life, my son. I don't need to be with anybody. I didn't think that I really had the lust for companionship or to be as close as to anyone as I thought I was previously. And as time went by, yeah, I started feeling like any other guy would. It'd certainly be nice to have another half, someone to help take care of your son, or just to rely on in general. And so I just prayed about it. I always prayed that one day a beautiful one would walk into my life and love me and my son the way that I do. I didn't search for it, I didn't look for it, I prayed that it would just come to me. I would just naturally kind of walk into it.
You walked right in that line, didn't you?
Yeah, it happened.
Well, okay, so after we started dating, at what point did you think about telling me about Aiden? Like, how your feelings and thought process?
That was actually really hard for me, and I had a kid at a very young age. I was 17, turning 18 years old, so I still had a lot of growing up and maturing to do. And actually, I made a mistake, and
You don't have to.
I didn't tell you at first, and it's shameful, it's embarrassing, but I mean, you live and you learn, and that was a mistake I made. I didn't tell her at first, and then, you know, a week or two goes by, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta say something. But then she's gonna wonder why I didn't say anything yet. So, I made a mistake. Definitely now, obviously, my son's attached to my hip. He's my best friend. I wouldn't change it for the world. You know I had a kid before I ever had the chance to tell you now. But yeah, I made a mistake. And I wouldn't recommend doing that because it hurt us at first, as you could expect. And luckily, by the grace of God, we got through it. But yeah, that was...
You didn't have to say all that.
If you wait, you're just digging a hole. And you feel awkward about it. So, that's the truth.
What were your biggest worries, like, when you would think about telling me?
My biggest worries were kind of like what you had brought up earlier, you know, two relationships. My biggest worries were my son getting hurt. Obviously, I worry about myself because I'm this tough guy, but I'm actually pretty emotional when it comes to things like people I love. And I know my son's the same way. And that was probably my biggest worry is one day him saying, hey, you know, hey Dad, where's stepmom at? Where'd she go? Why were you guys fighting? You know, why were you guys yelling at each other? Now she's gone. I don't ever want him to have to go through anything like that. So that's probably my biggest worry is just hurting him in any way. And I feel like if that happened one good time, that'd be it. Like, okay, I learned my lesson. I'm not doing that to him again. So I guess my biggest worry, hurting him and just me putting into my love life, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you decide that you wanted me to meet Aiden, or at what point did you know that you wanted me to meet him, or your feelings about me meeting him in general?
It's hard to recall that 100% because we've been together
a
few years now. But I do remember, I definitely obviously wanted you to meet him because my son's, he's hilarious, he's real cool. He's a cool little kid, he'll crack you up. So, and regardless if that was the case or not, I still want you to meet him because I take a lot of pride in being a father. I'm crazy about my son, so yeah, I definitely want you to meet him.
So now, like today, how do you feel about mine and Aiden's relationship?
I feel like all my prayers were answered. My God single-handedly picked the angel I prayed for
Stop.
and put him right in my life. I'm blessed, I really am, because I'm with someone who loves my son as if he was her biological son as well. And I know that one day whenever her and myself have children, she won't treat him any differently than she treats Aiden now. And you can't ask for much more than that. So really all I can say in regards to that is prayers work. That's the truth.
So do you have any extra advice for newly single dads out there?
Biggest advice, don't let just any girl you have feelings for into your life. Definitely get to know the person first. Don't make the same mistakes I did, because if someone really likes you or loves you for who you are, they're not going to care that you have a kid. Don't base it off whether they have a child as well or whether you think they're not going to like the fact that you have a child. Just pray about it and let yourself or her naturally walk into your life. Don't be writing women on Facebook. Don't do all that. You're too old for that. Or you need to act old enough to not be doing things like that, because that's not how you're going to find the woman to place into you and your child's life. So if you're religious, pray about it. I certainly think that's what landed me where I'm at. And if not, just let it naturally happen. I mean, how could you not love this little fella right here?
Okay. Are you ready for this video? Aiden's been wanting to make a video with me for a while. You actually watched one of my videos like 7 times. Didn't you? The cupcake one? You really liked that one, didn't you? Yeah, okay.
What were your thoughts about that video? What did that video make you think?
It's beautiful.
Erika's beautiful. I thought the same thing. We think alike.
Okay. Aiden, when did you and I meet? Do you remember? You don't?
Not a clue, huh?
Okay. Okay, so are you happy about, how do you feel about me and Daddy being married?
Beautiful.
No, how do you feel about us being married?
Kinda nice.
Nice? You like it? How do you feel about me being your stepmom?
Kinda. I like that.
You like that? What's your favorite part about it?
That I get to hug you and kiss you and tell you you're beautiful.
I love that too. Okay, and so how do you feel about you, Daddy, and I being this cute little family?
Because I like to play video with Daddy and have fun.
Yeah, but how do you feel about us being a family?
Kinda good. We get to hug each other.
Aww. Group hug.
Could have any extra thoughts about your family?
I love them so much. Like one is handsome, one's beautiful, and that's better than Daddy. And Daddy's handsome, and Elsa is beautiful.
Well, you're very handsome.
No, I'm telling that.
To Daddy? Daddy's very handsome too.
And there.
Mm-hmm.
It's recording now.
No, it's recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in there.
And after the things that I love from we did you hug, kiss.
That's another thing that you love about your family? Nice.
That's all.
That's all. Alright, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching, and that's it. Bye.
Say bye.
Say adios.
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 You're awesome.
Adios.